Have you lost your job? Have you lost a loved one? Are you exhausted caring for your parents, for your kids? Well, you can find immediate relief when you read Sheila Mack's new #1 bestseller, Bootstraps and Bra Straps. It contains the Boots formula to move from rock bottom back into action in any situation, especially right now. If life has knocked you down, pick yourself up with Bootstraps and Bra Straps. Get your copy at www.sheilamac.com today.
Are you ready for a reboot? Welcome to the Sheila Mack Show, reality at its finest. History reminds us those hit hardest often become the change makers. This year, we've all hit crazy economic, social, and emotional rock bottoms. We all get knocked down. Something hits globally, locally, personally. It affects our health, finances, our relationships. We have to recreate a business or career. Each show, Sheila and her special guest will be sharing their reboot stories, guiding you with real solutions to upgrade and up-level emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, and financially. Here on NBC's KCAA Radio, Mondays at 1 and Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Pacific Time. If you're ready to pull yourself up by the bootstraps and bra straps, enjoy a listen. Here's Sheila. Are you ready for a reboot? Welcome to the Sheila Mack Show, reality at its finest. History reminds us those hit hardest often become the change makers. This year, we've all hit crazy economic, social, and emotional rock bottoms. We all get knocked down. Something hits globally, locally, personally. It affects our health, finances, our relationships. We have to recreate a business or career. Each show, Sheila and her special guest will be sharing their reboot stories, guiding you with real solutions to upgrade and up-level emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, and financially. Here on NBC's KCAA Radio, Mondays at 1 and Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Pacific Time. If you're ready to pull yourself up by the bootstraps and bra straps, enjoy a listen. Here's Sheila.
Welcome to the Sheila Mack Show, reality at its finest. Here we have real people sharing real stories and actionable steps to help you reinvent, rebuild, and reboot your business and personal life on your terms. I'm your host, Sheila Mack, and today we have special guest Jason Forrest. Jason is the CEO of FPG, Forrest Performance Group, which is a leading authority in culture change programs and an expert on creating high performance, high profit, and best place to work cultures. The winner of 5 international Stevie Awards for his training programs, Jason is also an award-winning author of 6 books, including Leadership Sales Coaching, rated as one of the Selling Power Magazine's top sales books in 2018. FPG earned a rare honor of being named to the Inc. 5000. All right, welcome to the show, Jason.
Thanks, Sheila. I'm glad to be here.
And one of the things I like to start off each show, this show actually started with my new best-selling book, Bootstraps and Bra Straps, the formula to go from rock bottom back into action in any situation. And this last 12 months, we have had every situation thrown at us globally. So I love to ask you if you could share a time in your business or personal life where you went through a tough situation and how you got back on track.
Well, I can think of probably thousands of examples. I mean, I personally believe that the quality of our life is equal to our ability to handle the problems that we're given. I think that's an important thing. Like for example, one of the things I always tell salespeople all the time, and my people in my own company, is that every time I coach you, I'm always going to ask you one simple question. That is, what is your goal and what is your problem? So what problem are you having, right? And if they ever respond to me, I don't have any problems right now, my immediate response back is, well, you don't have a big enough goal. Because if you're constantly pushing yourself to go to the next level, there's obviously going to be some sort of problem that's going to be arising, and coming up. So, I mean, I think, to me, one problem that comes up is the first time we ever became an Inc. 5000 fastest growing company. We were very excited. We've won it now 5 or 6 years in a row. But the first year we won it, my head of operations came to me and said, Jason, in about 2 weeks, we're going to be bankrupt.
Mm-hmm.
So we were one of the fastest growing companies in the nation, but when it came to managing our cash, we weren't doing a good job of managing our cash. We were all focused on kind of frontline revenue and not focused on, accounts receivables or profitability, certain other factors that matter. And so, that was obviously a tough moment for me because, we had just won all these awards for being the best, and but we were about to go bankrupt. So how can you be a company that is considered to be the best, but then also fail at the same time?
Mm-hmm.
It was tough. It was a tough thing.
Yes. And what were the steps that you took to get back on track?
Well, fortunately, I had a really, really good father. I had really good parents growing up. So I had great programming. And, one of the things that my dad told me when I was a kid, so here's another cool story, is that when I was in high school, I was an all-state football player in Texas, but I was also kind of a dumb jock. I kind of labeled myself with the identity of a dumb jock. And so I wanted to go to a school called TCU in Dallas-Fort Worth, a college, and but I didn't get in because of my grades.
Mm-hmm.
And so I actually got in my truck and drove to the campus, knocked on the dean of admissions door, and said, "Hey, here's my rejection letter. I've been rejected here because of my grades, but I've been told that school is like 90% effort and 10% intelligence. Is that true?" And he said, "Yeah, it's probably right." I said, "Well, let me tell you how I became, through that effort, became an all-state football player, broke all these records, blah, blah, blah. And if you give me a chance, I'll do the same thing on the academic side." And he told me, he said, I've never had a kid plead their case. It's always been the parents that plead the case for the child. So he goes, "I'll take a chance on you." And it was a good chance he took because I graduated in 3.5 years with honors. But it wasn't because I knew, I still struggled in the sense that I had the effort, but I didn't have the strategy. Right. And I think a lot of people in life can do that. They have that kind of a goal and they put forth the effort, the good old college try, mm-hmm. but they don't have the right strategy in order to get there. But my father always said, I went to him and I said, "Dad, how do I become this academic?" And he said, "It's really easy. Just find like the smart kids and hang out with them. And whatever the smart kids do, just do that, Mm-hmm. And so I call it legal cheating nowadays, because think about it, it's like cheating, right? But it's not cheating because I'm not cheating off their paper. I'm cheating off of their strategy on how they became a great student. Mm-hmm. Right. So I'm copying them. Well, the kids today, they would actually call that, like our kids, we've got a 10-year-old, 11-year-old, 13-year-old. Our kids would say that's called a work through in like a video game. Mm. Right. So they go and Google like the work throughs on Fortnite or whatever it is, whatever the video game is. And they're finding these strategies on YouTube about how other players are kind of conquering these levels. Right. So the kids do it all day long. Well, back then I didn't, I wasn't cheating, but I was kind of figuring out the work through from other people that were studying successfully. And that's how I did it. Well, I did the same thing. Fast forward when our company almost went bankrupt, is I found what I consider to be the smartest guy that I knew that was a successful business owner that had a very strong cash flow. Mm-hmm. He had great cash flow. He had great profitability. And so I went to him. His name was Bob. And I said, "Bob, I'm going to take you to a steak dinner. Where do you want to go? Anywhere you want to go?" And so we went to this really great steak dinner, $150 a person. And I said, "I just need you to teach me everything over this steak dinner about how I can make sure I don't go bankrupt in 2 weeks." And so he taught me everything I needed to know from a standpoint of we got to get up first. We got to get you a bank loan, a 24-hour bank signature line. So I got a signature line of credit. And then from there, we've got to start managing our books, and we got to get a 13-week cash flow. So I started having a 13-week cash flow. And so ever since then, that was 6-7 years ago. Ever since then, I have a 13-week cash flow that's put on my desk every single Monday that shows, here's our cash projections for the next 13 weeks, which is really an eternity. Mm-hmm. So we always have a positive cash flow. We always know what's going on. And if we see the cash is starting to dwindle 13 weeks in the future, then we can make adjustments to make sure that we're always positive.
Forecasting. That's great. And I love it. Listeners, this is so important. Knock on the door. go to the university and ask, hey, knock on the door. If you didn't get the job, apply again or apply to a similar job. I mean, it's just so interesting how that works in life. And I know for myself, this young kid, I was in foster care 10 to 13 and homeless, and then in foster care 13 to 15, graduated early, got a certificate in programming because it paid the most. And by the time I was 17 and a half, I got a job programming at JPL, NASA. And everybody in the class was smarter than me. I was not a good mathematician. I was not the best programmer. I was the only one that wasn't afraid to knock on the door and apply for the job. So they were like, how'd you do that? I was like, I don't know. I worked longer hours because it took me longer to write the programs, but I learned. And I didn't do that forever. I got into other things. But that was the thing, is just knocking on the door is all the difference. And in sales, that's like everything. And I'd love to hear, you have so many tips and information on sales and sales coaching. I'd love to hear more about that and some tips for people listening in that are trying to either sell themselves to get a job or working in the sales field.
Oh man, I got so many tips. Okay, so again, I'm the creator of the Warrior Selling Method. It's currently listed as #1 in the United States, #2 in the world by global gurus, and it's won all kinds of awards. But there's 3 things that I'm always trying to dial in when it comes to being the ultimate sales warrior. #1 is mindset, #2 is process, and #3 is language. So we can kind of cover all 3 very quickly. So when it comes to the mindset portion of it, we always need to dial in and remove our leashes. So I call a leash is any sort of mental resistance, like think of like a dog collar, a leash, something that pulls you back, holds you back, limiting belief. Well, in my book, The Mindset of a Sales Warrior, I talk about there's 4 types of leashes that salespeople struggle with. #1 is self-image. So they have a strong view of themselves, self-confidence. They don't believe in themselves, sense of worthiness. They don't believe they're worth, make $100,000 a year, so they're going to project that. #2 is a story. So stories are anything external. So, people aren't going to buy during coronavirus. People aren't going to buy during an election. I can already tell you they're not qualified. Like, those are all stories we make up. #3 is a reluctance, and it's a fear. Fear. I don't want to come across too pushy. I'm afraid of what they're saying about me behind my back. I'm afraid if I call them, on the phone in the morning, they're with their family. If I call them during the day, they're at work. If I call them at night, they're, kind of winding down their life. So I'm not going to call them. So these are like fears we make up. And then last is a rule. And a rule is anything I need to see, feel, or hear to give myself permission to engage. And so a rule might be, well, you know what? I'm going to, every time I send a proposal out, I'm going to send a proposal. And if I don't hear from them within 2 days, I'm going to follow up. Like, that's a rule. Okay. Yeah. Well, why is that? Why do you have that rule? Like, what does that do for you? Why not follow up in an hour? Why not follow up in a minute? Why not follow? Like, right before this call, I just closed the deal. I sent a proposal out, and I texted them and said, the proposal is in your email box. Immediately call me if you have any future questions. Otherwise, I'll check in with you. I'll call you in the end of the day and personally walk through any questions you might have. Otherwise, if you don't have any questions, go ahead and sign it. We'll get started immediately with the operations team. And we'll, because we're a recruiting company, we're a sales training company, a sales management company. And so he immediately said, sounds great. And then he signed the DocuSign, texted me back, and we're good to go, But I don't have a rule that says I need to wait 48 hours to follow up.
Right. Yeah.
So these are rules, right? So first it's mindset. So we got to get mindset right. So you agree with that? And what do you see out there, Sheila? I mean, do you see the stories? Do you see the rules? Do you see the reluctances, the fears? I mean, what are you seeing out there, Sheila?
I do. And, I have a big real estate team, my other business and life, that I do a lot of online training in that industry. And so there's a lot of sales, and there's agents that believe, just like you said, that, it's not possible, nothing's happening. I have other agents that have never made so much money, and they're doing great because interest rates are so low. And so it's all mindset. And it's just been really interesting. The loan mortgage people that I work with are also doing more business than ever with the loans, the interest rates going down. And so then there's the ones with the mindset that it's the virus and it's this and that, and it's a bad year. And it is a bad year because they're saying it's a bad year.
Yeah. Well, here's an interesting one for the real estate world. Is so let's say you've got a listing agent, right? And you've got the listing agent listing a person's house, and the first question is, okay, well, if I was to talk to a listing agent, I would say, what I want you to do is every time every time you've got a buyer's agent that's going to come and demonstrate and show your house, right, that you're listing, what I want you to do is just tell the buyer's agent that as soon as you get there, I'll schedule a call with you. So either A, I'll be there physically with you and help show the house, right, demonstrate the house, or B, if I can't be there physically, then I'll FaceTime with you as soon as you bring the buyer's agent, bring the buyer to my listing, and I will personally FaceTime and walk you through the listing and give you at least a few minute, 5 minute, maybe tops overview of the house, so I can kind of tell you the story behind the house, so your buyers can have the absolute best experience, right? Okay. So I've taught that to so many different realtors in the past, and every time I teach it, a realtor goes, "But that's not how we do it in this business." I understand, but in the new home sales business, which we actually have, majority of sales. We have majority of the training. We have the biggest market share of sales training in the new home sales side. Well, the new home sales side, you've got a new home sales agent that's sitting there and actually walking a customer through their house, and they've been taught on how to sell the house. But in the general real estate world, you've got a buyer's agent that's going to go see this house the first time completely blind, has no idea even where the closet is, right? And they're just as naive as the actual customer looking through the house. It's like the blind leading the blind, right? Yeah. So like, why wouldn't you do that? And so when I convince I convince listing agents to take that approach, their sales immediately skyrocket. Yeah. Because they let go of that rule. Like, it makes complete sense. Like, why would you? There's not another, like, if you go to Neiman Marcus or Nordstrom's, you're going to have a sales rep that's going to walk you through the product, that knows the product. If you buy Tupperware, you're going to have a Tupperware salesperson. If you have a car salesperson, they all have a salesperson that walks you through it. But for some reason, in the real estate world, that's not how we do it here.
Wow, that is so true.
Right?
That's incredible. I think about, if I'm selling my house, I'm going to want it represented. And usually when you're an agent, you don't sell your own house. You have another agent rep you because of arm's length and this and that. But if you're going to have somebody, you want somebody that's going to be invested in selling every piece of that house and why it's valuable and this and that. And if somebody just stands there at the door and says, "Okay, go look at the house. Good luck." Next. Okay. And doesn't do that. That's night and day. That's
crazy.
Incredible. Oh, that's golden.
Yeah.
Golden.
So that's a mindset thing, right? So that's a mindset thing. So the second thing is process. And a salesperson has to have a process. And it's so interesting. The majority of salespeople, if I ask them, hey, so tell me your process. Like, what's your sales process from beginning to end? Majority of the time, salespeople will tell me, well, it depends, Jason, on the situation. And I want everyone to hear this, is that flexible processes lead to inconsistent results.
Yes.
Consistent processes lead to predictable results.
Good one.
You know what I mean? You can't have a flexible process like that. No one else does that. Like, going back to the home sales concept, you wouldn't have a inspector that follows a flexible process, or the person the original superintendent who built the house doesn't follow a flexible process to build the house. So right. why would a salesperson follow a flexible process to sell the house?
Yes, exactly. That's so true. And I'm wondering now, I've had salespeople that are incredible that I've worked with, and some not in the industry as much that I work with, but that I've run into as a buyer. Where I've had salespeople that are so pushy that I might want the product, but I'll go buy it from someone else because the salesperson was so hungry for the sale that there was no consideration for me or what I was looking for, or to answer a few more questions or whatever. And I find that it's almost like this desperation. I know you know what I'm talking about, where it's like, I'm going to try
Yeah. So what I would say what I would say, Sheila, is that my advice there is, they need to lower the importance of getting the sale,
Mm-hmm.
and they need to raise the importance of being impeccable.
Yes.
So lower the importance of getting the sale and raise the importance of being impeccable. So what does that mean? It means don't be the needy guy in the bar.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Don't be the needy guy in the bar that's like, just going up to every girl, just needing the date, right? Needing the get, Instead, you want to be the opposite, which is the hot chick in the bar.
Mm-hmm.
So don't be the needy guy in the bar. Instead, be the hot chick in the bar. Well, what's the hot chick in the bar? The hot chick in the bar is like, I can get any of you. I just whenever I feel up to it, I'll give you my attention. You know what I mean? Like it's this whole idea of like, yeah, I want your time. I want, I want your business, but I don't need your business, right? We've all heard that before, and so, but again, we need to change, change the focus. And so the focus for a salesperson going forward is like, if I'm working with you, Sheila, I'm lowering the importance that I need you to buy something from me today, but instead I'm raising the importance that I need you to feel safe, and that I need you to feel wanted, and I need to help you achieve resolution, and I need you to have clarity of what you're moving away from and what you're moving towards.
Mm-hmm.
I need you to have all of those things, right? And if I can accomplish that for you, make you feel safe, make you feel wanted, help you achieve resolution, help you get unstuck, help you clarify what you're moving away from, what your problem is, and what you're moving towards your solution. And then I can kind of help you and then be your kind of guidance counselor along the way. I can come across very assertive towards that resolution without coming across pushy or what you would consider to be more like needy, or desperate.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, and so that goes for relationships and sales. Obviously, it's almost the same field.
It is well, that's the way my dad taught me how to sell. My dad owns the oldest jewelry store in Dallas. And when I was 8 years old, I sold my first diamond. And he would always, he was really big on this. Every analogy, he's 82 years old today, but every metaphor he ever gave me is all about dating. So.
Yeah, he was right on. On. I know, because it's like red flags go up now with the consumer when you can't answer questions and you want to push to a close or a sale without really having the integrity. Okay, if I can't give you the answer, I'm going to get you the answer, or whatever that step may be. And I think that's part of maybe an untrained salesperson, because if you are really trained in your industry, you're going to have the answers to the common questions, and you're going to be able to give the proper the proper answers, and not just, okay, just give me your money. And I think that maybe people are getting thrown into it without that really good training. I'd love to hear about your training programs so that people can have success in sales. It is a tough game out there to be in the sales industry. There's a lot of people that have great success, and there's even more that don't. And I think it's that training piece that makes all the difference.
It really does. It really does make all the difference, because, selling to me is the toughest of the performance arts.
Mm-hmm.
It's the toughest. Why is it the toughest? Because if you look at any other performance art, football player, musician, comedian, whatever it is that they all make money. So they all get paid to go do their art. Well, in sales, you show up every day saying, I'm working today for free.
Yeah.
And if I don't perform, then I don't get paid. And the better I perform, the better I get paid. But like a Broadway actress is going to make the same amount of money regardless of how she performs. Now, eventually, she might get paid more, as the show gets better and so forth. But so it's the toughest anyway. So as far as what we teach, I created this concept called the Warrior Selling Method, and basically there's 5 steps to understand the customer's mission to improve their life, 4 steps to present a solution, and then 3 steps to resolve the sale. Okay, so it's all based upon a lot of things, but one of my backgrounds is in neuro-linguistic programming, and myself and my wife are both master practitioners. So doesn't really mean, I mean, there's a lot of people that throw NLP around. So we have over 1,000 hours of certification around neuro-linguistic programming. But it's NLP basically is that. So neuro stands for brain, linguistic stands for our speech pattern. And what's been proven by science and psychology is the way that we speak is a window into how we think, and how we think drives how we feel drives our motivations drive our behaviors drive our results. Well, at the same time, we can ask the right questions to understand, again, how people think, which drives all those other things. And we can use our words, our language, to program how people think, which programs how they feel. Are they confident or afraid? Which programs their motivation? Do they move towards or move away? Which programs their behaviors? Do they engage or react? Which programs their results? Do they buy from you or not buy from you, right? So this is there's a lot of like science and psychology that's built into it. And NLP is nothing more than just studying what the most persuasive people are doing and how do they do it and what are the pieces of that. And so our 5-4-3 process, again, it teaches those concepts.
Yes. I actually did a retreat where we did NLP training with a bunch of friends of mine in the Tony Robbins group. And we went to do this NLP training and had a blast. And one of the things that I learned is, as a parent of, I have 6 children, I adopted 3 are mine.
That's awesome.
So yeah, and they're, now they're mostly grown, but I thought, oh my gosh, parents listening in, NLP training. I mean, imagine being able to guide your words so that your children agree with you more, or you get things done easier. I mean, it's like sales and relationships. It's making it easier. I thought, oh, I'm going to apply this to parenting. And it really made a difference even in that. And it's just an incredible study. That's great. Yes.
It is great. Yeah. Yeah. So, there's all kinds of things you can teach, right? But when it comes to our process, let's go back to, let me help out your majority of your audience. So the majority of your audience or the people that are listening, what will be something that they sell? Is it real estate, or is it something else?
I would say probably a good majority, maybe 20 or 30% is real estate. And I probably have another 20 or 30% that are coaches, consultants, authors, and the rest is everybody else.
Okay. So, well, let me address the at least the real estate side. So, and then we can do the coaches, consultants. Mm-hmm. So for example, like if I was to do just the first 5 steps of the process, it would be something like this. I'm just going to I'm going to monologue the process, right? So, okay. So let's say I'm a realtor. All right, Mr. Customer. So I'm very excited about working with you, and I look forward to finding you, the best home that I could possibly find for you within the market that you're looking within. Of course, the affordability, the affordable range you want to stay within. There's a few things that people are really looking for when it comes to, buying a home. It's either they want something larger than they have now, or they're looking to live in a better part of town or a different part of town, or they're looking for, maybe more backyard space than they have right now. I'm curious, what would you say is like the most important thing for you? Oh, got it. So you like the size you have now, but you definitely would like to have a different location. What specifically about the location are you looking for? You're looking for to be closer to a better school district? Completely understand. So tell me about the school district you're coming from and what specifically you don't like about it. Oh, it doesn't have the ratings that you're looking for. Well, how is that causing problems with your kids that you have? Oh, they're hanging around with the wrong kids. Got it. So you're looking for a school district to allow them to give better opportunities to spend more time with, kids that you want them to hang around with. But for the most part, you like the house that you have. You're really just looking for a different location. So in addition to that, if you were to change anything about your current house, what would you want to change? So meaning like how many bedrooms, how many baths is it currently? Great. Okay, so it sounds like you're looking for some extra space than you don't have right now. So you're currently in a 4-bedroom, 2-bath, and you would like to have a 2-story with an extra game room. So suppose I could find a 2-story master down 4-bedroom home with a game room that allows you the school district you're looking for. Does that sound like a good place for us to start? It does? Great. So based upon that, if I was to find a house for you like that, are you in a position that you definitely want to make a move today and start your life and get into that new neighborhood, the new life, and so forth. You are? Awesome. Okay, so what I'm going to do then is I'm going to do a little bit of research here, and I'm going to go find what I consider to be our, no more than 3 homes that I want to show you that are as close to kind of your vision of what you're looking for. We'll go through all 3 of those homes, and by the time we're done with the 3rd home, either one of those homes is going to work, or I'll understand what you like and you don't like about each one of those homes, and then I'll take you to a 4th home, and that 4th home is usually the winner for everyone if it's not on the first 3. We'll compare and contrast that to what you're coming from and what you're looking at and what you're wanting to accomplish, and again we'll find that home for you. You're ready to begin.
Nice.
Something like that, right? So that's the 5 steps.
Yep.
So the first step was a triple bind. There's a few reasons why people are looking for a home. It's either this, or this. Of those, what's most important to you? Second step is the comparison 360. So it's Discovery 360. So it's asking questions about what they want, asking questions about what they have, and asking questions about what they've seen.
Mm-hmm.
Third step is the summary vision close. You're summarizing back to them what they want to move away from and what they want to move towards and why it's important to them about that. The 4th step is you want to categorize them. So based upon that, are you definitely going to do something, make a change? And then the 5th step is you set the agenda as far as how it's going to happen.
That's excellent.
So the same thing applied to those, Sheila, if they're a coaching client, right? So great. I'm excited that you're interested in my coaching services right now. There's a few things that people are looking for when it comes to wanting to hire me as a coach. Number 1 is they're wanting to release a problem they currently have. Mm-hmm. We can talk about some sort of problem that's preventing you from achieving a goal. Number 2 is that they're wanting to create a goal that they would like to accomplish more in their life. Or number 3, it's a hybrid of both of those, working towards a goal as well as releasing the problems they currently have. I'm curious, what would you say you'd like to spend more time on today, or what's the main reason why you're looking for a coach?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the same thing, right? And then from there, I would do that Discovery 360, and let's say they say, well, I have a lot of goals in my life, but I feel like I keep getting stuck. Okay, well, let's specifically talk about a goal that you have, and where have you been stuck in the past, and what processes have you used to get unstuck with those goals, and what about those processes haven't worked for you? So it sounds like you have used some coaches in the past, you haven't achieved what you're looking to achieve, and on a scale of 1 to 10, this sounds like it's a very important thing that you're trying to accomplish. Does that sound about where you are? Great. So based upon that, are you in a position to definitely make this, to make a change? Are you definitely in a position to do something about it? You are? Okay, perfect. So then what I'm going to do today is I'm going to share with you how I work. I'm going to share with you the process that I would take you through in order to help you accomplish the goals that you're wanting to accomplish. And then I'll lay out some options of what I believe would make the most sense for us to work together. I'll present a different couple of packages to you. You'll pick the one that you like the most, and if we feel like we're a good fit for each other, we can get started immediately to help you accomplish your goals. All right, let's begin.
Excellent. Very good. Yes. So everybody listening in, I'm sure you're taking notes. That was wonderful. And now how do people get involved with your programs? What type of programs do you offer as far as your coaching program?
Yeah. So my company, again, we have a lot of trainers, but every single month we've got boot camps that are kicking off virtually online. Right. Mm-hmm. So every single month, a person can go to a business to consumer boot camp for warrior selling. We do have one specifically for real estate. So for home building and real estate. So business to home building. And then we've got one for business to business. So those are our 3 different tracks for warrior selling. And then we also have the leadership track for leadership sales coaching, where we can teach managers how to be kind of a world-class coach, specifically around sales coaching is where we focus on a lot. And then, of course, we have a recruiting service. A recruiting service is amazing. We've disrupted the entire recruiting business. So we will go out there and find you a fearless sales warrior that has the mindset, the process, and the language dialed in. Then we make sure that we use assessments to make sure they're better than half your existing team. Once you approve the candidate, we put them through our 90-day warrior selling training program and then guarantee their performance.
Wow, that's excellent.
Yeah. So no other recruiting company does what we do. No other recruiting company combines a sales only recruiting company combined with an assessment company, combined with a training company, all in one. So it's a complete soup to nuts, turnkey sales warrior for hire. And again, if they don't perform, we replace them for free. And we've only had to replace about 20% of the ones last year.
Mm-hmm. And what do you see as the difference as far as sales from the people that have done the training, gone through your training? What are the results? Like, what is the difference, and how long does that take to actually show up when somebody maybe signs up for your training, sales training?
Well, they better get results like right after the 2-day boot camp, or I'm going to get upset with them. So the difference with us is that, you know, I really prided myself on being the first training company that can actually change behavior. So most sales training companies, they can't really change behavior because it's not practical enough. So what we're doing is in our actual boot camps and in our follow-up programs that we have with customers is they're bringing their real life prospects to the table. And then my trainers are telling them what to say to get the person back on the phone, to move the deal forward, to get the deal to convert, whatever it is, right? And so we're not talking like in theory, like most consultants do. We're talking about like specific real life challenges and what those challenges are. And so we're selling through them immediately at those boot camps and in those weekly follow-up calls. So everything we do is a program, right? So we have a 2-day boot camp that kicks it off. Mm-hmm. And then it's a 6-week follow-up program where they watch a bunch of videos and they get on a Zoom call with a bunch of other people, about 30 people tops, for 2 hours a week for 6 weeks, where they're, again, mastering that script, mastering that process, putting it in their own native language. So think of it as like our 5-4-3 methodology with like their language, you know, their industry, their specifics, right? And so we're kind of blending the two together. They're memorizing that, they're performing that, they're using that with their prospects over the next 6 weeks. And then it's another 2-day boot camp on prospecting, and then another 6 weeks of accountability around prospecting.
Wow. That's incredible. That sounds like a lot of training, and it does make a big difference. I know for training when you're working with a group. I know years ago, my first business actually in sales was not in real estate. It was actually gift stores. So after my working in programming as this young girl, I decided to open a gift store. 5,000 square feet, $5,000 a month, $1 a square foot, got 6 months free rent. And I hired a bunch of people that already knew sales, that were moms that needed flex time. And that's what carried my store. That's how I got into real estate. I ended up with 5 stores and had over 200 employees and a whole training program that I did with the government to train at-risk youth how to work in these gift stores, and then they would get a letter of reference after 6 months to go work at another place because nobody wanted to hire them. And so that helped a lot of people, and it was a wonderful thing. And so sales was something that was always a part of my life, and we just had a lot of fun with it. And it changed because we did so much training. This was, okay, I'm going to like date myself. This was back in the day when they had camcorders, and that, you know, it was like this 20-pound camera, and you had to put this big tape into a VCR and that 1993-ish, something like that. And so back then I literally filmed all my training because I had to show the government how I was training these kids, and every single employee went through my training. And it was like, I want you, when you work here, you are me. And you are going to serve each client that comes in here the way I would treat them. You're going to like really emulate me. And that's how I did that. I didn't know what I was doing. I just knew that I had to pay that rent every month and figure out how to make money. And it was a really beautiful thing. Something that happens when you really need to make a difference. And my heart was in it to help those kids at the same time. So I enjoyed it, and it blessed me with the reason I got into the real estate sales was I ended up buying the other buildings, no more leasing. And I ended up getting into real estate so that I could buy and sell and do exchanges. And that's how that happened. But, you know, that training was such a difference. Before I did the training, my sales were, I was barely making that rent. And then once I started the training program and video recorded everything, this was before we did that, it was night and day. And my sales went up and I was able to, buy the first building and then buy another and another. And so that's really it. So this investment, working with someone like Jason in this program and getting your team sales trained is going to make you and save you so much time and money. I mean, just rehiring and retraining people over and over again that aren't able to do their job because they don't have the training is not cost effective at all. So what do you think the savings are? Do you have like numbers on that, or an idea to give people that are looking into maybe hiring out for sales coaching? What's the difference between a team that's trained and not trained?
Well, I mean, the best stat I can tell you is that 90% of our clients that were in our full 12-month training program prior to COVID, so prior to March of 2020, so almost a year ago now, in March and April met or exceeded their sales goals. Now, this is across like 15 or 16 different industries. So think about how many companies, everyone can go back to a year ago, March and April, and how many companies were shutting down and going under. Mm-hmm. And 90% of our clients that were in our full program prior to March and April met or exceeded their sales goals in March and April.
Wow. So
to me, I mean, that's a big testimony in itself, just to, you think about how tough things were a year ago. Mm-hmm. But I mean, look, I would say there's, from an individual perspective, I mean, I've seen people go from making $50,000 a year to making $250,000 a year, during our program. And obviously the biggest numbers we see is big, huge organizations, will scale quite a bit.
That's wonderful. And we're coming to the end of our talking time, so I'd love to hear how people could learn more, sign up for your programs, and learn more about what you're doing.
Perfect. So I would say, so definitely come to fpg.com. So F as in Forrest, P as in Performance, G as in Group.com. So fpg.com. And there's all kinds of cool free resources you can download, different things you can get a hold of. And if you want to check it out, so we have a book, one of our most recent books is called The Mindset of a Sales Warrior. And if those who are listening right now, if you go to warriormindsetbook.com, so warriormindsetbook.com, you can actually get the book for free. You just have to pay shipping and handling. Or you can go to Amazon or Audible and pay full price for the book if you don't want to do that route. There's also a bunch of other offers and so forth on warriormindsetbook.com after you just pay for shipping and handling. And that book was listed as the best new sales book of the year by a Stevie Award in 2019.
Outstanding. All right. Well, I'm definitely getting my book. And thank you again for being a guest on the show. For those tuning in, stay tuned. We'll be back after these messages. If you are just tuning in, this is the Sheila Mack Show, and we had special guest today, our CEO from FPG, the Human Performance Unleashed. And if you would like to get some coaching for your business group or personally, go to www.fbg.com. And thank you again for listening. And now I have something special to share. If you are just tuning in, this is the Sheila Mack Show on NBC's KCAA Radio, the station that leaves no listener behind. And today, I'd like to share with you a chapter in my new best-selling book, Bootstraps and Bra Straps, the formula to go from rock bottom back into action in any situation. So take a listen. Chapter 5. Money Matters. Finance. Geneva showed up at my vacation rental with a car full of her belongings, everything she hadn't been able to fit in her small storage unit down the road. She told me she'd been moving from one vacation rental home to another, occasionally staying at friends' homes in between.
She'd felt guided to visit me and had booked my rental for 3 days, but noticed it was available for the month. "I don't have all the money at once," she told me. "Can I pay as I go?" I couldn't help but tell her yes. I knew she was in the right place. After she unpacked and got settled in, we sat outside on the deck for coffee and snacks. Soon, Geneva started to share about her own rock-bottom situation. She told me she used to own a beautiful 3-bedroom home and had been happily married with 2 grown sons. She had worked part-time for the school district and her husband was a props designer. She started to cry a little, but tried to hide it as, with a deep sigh, she continued. Geneva said she really loved that man and thought she had a rock-solid, honest husband. He was a bit of a slob and sometimes got angry with the kids, but he was a good provider and always very loving. She always trusted him and kept herself busy working and raising their kids. One day, the power went out at the house. When Geneva called the company to have a repairman come out, they told her that her service had been turned off due to unpaid bills. When her husband, who'd always paid the bills, got home, he explained that it had been a misunderstanding and he'd taken care of it, putting the bills on autopay so she didn't have to bother with them. Soon after that, Geneva went to make a phone call and discovered that the family's cell phone service had been disconnected. She was upset and concerned, so she drove over to her husband's job site. They told her that he hadn't been assigned to that site that day, even though that's where he told her he'd been working for the past 3 weeks. When he returned home, Geneva asked her husband, "How was work?" "Great," he answered. "We got a lot done and the project should be finished in a week or 2. She asked where he was working, and he told her the same site she had visited earlier that day. That's when it all came out. For most of their marriage, instead of working extra long hours, he was actually visiting his other family. Yes, he had a girlfriend, and together over the last 10 years or so of their marriage, he and she had 3 other children. Geneva had been minding her business, living what she felt was a pretty good and honest life, when boom, the bottom fell out from under her. Then, just like that, her husband left her alone in the shambles of their old life. Because he'd been in charge of their money and paying the bills, Geneva hadn't realized how behind they were. Everywhere she looked, all she saw were final notices and bill collectors. They were upside down on the house. She didn't have enough money to get current on the mortgage, and her credit was ruined. She said she went into a deep depression from the emotional and financial fallout. She just didn't know what to do. She didn't even know where to start. Geneva admitted that she drank too much for a while, oversleeping and calling out from her part-time work. When there was a downsizing wave, she was the first one to get fired. At this point in her story, Geneva was in full tears, with little bits of laughter and waves of anger, too. As she mentioned her ex, she slammed her fist on my park bench. When she came to stay with me, Geneva was working for a temp agency and taking part-time cleaning jobs on the side. She joked about how she'd seen a van advertising a topless maid service and admitted she was inches away from calling to apply just for the extra money. It was a joke, yet it spoke to a serious feeling. How on earth could she ever get ahead? The true cost. Situations we can't control or predict, ones that have serious financial consequences, happen more often than we'd like. We don't want to believe that this can happen to us. It's not something you'd ever want to think about or prepare for. Geneva had certainly never thought it was possible, but if the unexpected happens, you may find yourself in a financial pinch or even a financial catastrophe. Your financial circumstances change throughout your life, but when those changes are accompanied or even caused by a major life shift, that can lead to a rock bottom. Bouncing back from a financial rock bottom consists of 3 steps, which we'll look at in this chapter. Step 1. Evaluate where you are financially. The activity at the end of the chapter walks you through this step. Step 2. Use your resourcefulness to get where you need to be to support yourself and your family if you have children. Step 3. Once you have that stability, you can start looking for other opportunities to invest and potentially grow your money. Face the dragon. Whether you are going through a catastrophic event or financial hardship, the first step is to take an honest look at your financial picture. Maybe your husband did the finances. Maybe you did the finances and he helped do something else, but now you have to take over everything. If you've never had to manage your finances entirely on your own, or even if you have been in charge of your finances, you can learn how to manage them better. When you're going through the finances, it can feel like you have nothing left over after paying your bills. You almost want to give up or not even look. Just throw the bills in a drawer and worry about them when the money shows up. Then, once the drawer is full, you throw them on the floor of the closet, wondering where the money is going to come from. Your financial situation gets worse and worse until you can't even qualify to buy a vacuum. It happens. Financial stress is hard and scary. But there's something really empowering about taking an honest look at your financial situation and learning where to go from here. I call this facing the dragon. If you are behind in your bills, there are ways you can negotiate or make arrangements for your payments. People are so afraid to just pick up the phone and call the bill collector or credit card company. Call American Express and say, "Hey, I had a death in my family, and I need more time to pay." Oftentimes, they'll give it to you. If your credit isn't good, I strongly suggest working with a credit repair service. Most of these services will actually write letters to your creditors on your behalf, removing or consolidating payments. After they get down to any bills that cannot be removed, many of them will actually get on a 3-way call and help you go through the negotiations to lower your payments. If you are going about this alone, it may be best to have a friend or family member that you trust get on the line with you or review what to say prior to calling in. I've worked with hundreds of clients who've had to repair their credit to qualify for a home loan or who had to rebuild their score due to a rock-bottom scenario. They all said it was far easier than they had imagined and that once they got through the first call or two, they no longer had the stress or fear. Our minds tend to jump to the worst-case scenario very quickly, but once we face the dragon, take that really painful first step, and do the work, it's a huge relief as some of that stress disappears. Taking this first step will give you a sense of getting back into control as you rebuild your financial house. But it doesn't happen all at once. If this is where you've hit rock bottom, it takes time to get through it and start going back up. What you have to do isn't really hard, but it might take a few days, weeks, or even months of making calls and arranging payment plans until you're back in the driver's seat. Ask for help. Just because you're learning to manage your finances yourself doesn't mean that you won't need help. You don't have to do it all on your own. One way to make a financial situation feel less scary is to get advice on how to handle it. A financial planner, credit counselor, money manager, accountant, or attorney may be able to help you come up with a strategic plan. If you can't afford to see one of these professionals, or if you want to take more control, the activity at the end of this chapter will help you come up with your own plan. And you can visit the resources section of my website, www.sheilamac.com/finances, for links to free, basic financial services. You are disempowered when you don't have a plan. The longer you go without a plan, throwing bills in a drawer, the more you mess up your credit and cause other trouble in your life that you don't need. The sooner you face it and do the work, the better. When you do have that plan in place, you just follow it. It's cleaner that way, and it's empowering. The IRS or the president? When I was 24 years old and my daughter was a few months old, I was in the second year of running my gift store business. I had figured out how to design the store, make it beautiful, and serve the customers, but I really sucked at accounting. I was making enough money, so accuracy wasn't a big deal for me. I didn't worry about counting every penny. I knew what my account balance was, but when I did my state taxes, I would just round off the numbers for income and expenses. I didn't know you aren't supposed to do that. One day, 4 people wearing black suits and almost invisible headsets walked in. They were not my typical gift store customers. My stomach dropped. Had I screwed up on my taxes? Was the IRS coming to take away my store or me? I considered grabbing the baby and running, but instead remembered how to follow the training I gave my staff and treat every customer like a movie star. I'm glad I didn't run. Then President Clinton walked into my store. He had been speaking at Glendale Community College nearby and then visited some local businesses. The suits were his Secret Service staff. I gave him a gift of Crabtree and Evelyn fragrances for men and the top-selling ladies' fragrance for Hillary. He held the baby and we took a picture. That was sadly lost in the fire I told you about in a previous chapter. The few minutes of fear I had when the suits walked in convinced me I needed someone else to manage my accounting. The next day, I hired a CPA. One of the first things he told me was, "You have to use real numbers." It's kind of a giveaway when everything ends in 0. Ideally, you can get the help you need when things are good, so you already have a plan in place in case things go bad. Be resourceful. A financial rock bottom can happen at any time and be caused by any number of situations. Whether your life shift is planned or unplanned, an unexpected medical emergency, going through a divorce, death of a spouse or partner, or getting laid off from a job, that life shift is also causing a shift in your finances. To better deal with life circumstances, you may choose to shift from full-time to part-time work, resulting in lower income. The shift from 2 incomes to 1 or to simply having less income than you're used to requires both a psychological and financial adjustment. If you lose a job, you can evaluate your situation and look for what you want to do next. But when you're not necessarily looking for a new job, or when a spouse loses his job and is going through an extended period of unemployment, or one of you goes back to school, you have to be resourceful in how you approach your life plan. Tony Robbins says, it's not the lack of resources, it's your lack of resourcefulness that stops you. The resourceful person is going to fare so much better than the one who's not. Being resourceful is going to take you outside of your comfort zone, but it also leads to thinking outside the box. When I bought my little house, one of my friends told me, "You should just rent an apartment. You can't afford to fix up this house, and there's no way you're going to make an income from it." She couldn't fathom how many times I had made successful real estate investments before with many other properties. A regular 9-to-5 office job would never pay me what I made investing in real estate. They said, "We love you. Good luck with that. We'll be here to help you when you're ready to move into an apartment or need a job referral." A month later, I had 3 different units that I had created out of this small place. I lived in one of them and rented out the others, making an average of $5,000 a month in a little cabin. I have Mastermind live weekly courses, and those are available at SheilaMac.com, SheilaMac.com. I have to let you know something, just between you and me. This book is not one size fits all, just like a pair of boots or a bra. So the formula is designed to help you through any situation. I'd love for you to grab a copy of my new best-selling book, Bootstraps and Bra Straps, the formula to go from rock bottom back into action in any situation. It is now available on Audible as well as on Amazon and Kindle and at www.sheilamac.com.